Okay, everybody, it's 9:30 and here we are in the Wharton Suite. I cannot believe it really after such a long time. Welcome to this May meeting of Cabinet. As everybody knows, on the agenda we have a number of appointments to make, plus one or two other things. So we're all having to get used to now in-person meetings again, but lovely to see you all and welcome. So first item on the agenda is apologies. I don't believe we have any apologies.
No, Chair.
Thank you very much. Item number 2, disclosure of interests. Councillor Todd.
Yes, I'm a county councillor. There are some decisions, committees shared with the county council, but it's a personal and not prejudicial interest.
Thank you very much. I don't believe there are any other people who have interest to declare. Agenda item 3 is to note any requests from councillors to make representations on an agenda item, and I do have Councillor Horrell has requested to speak on a number of items, and I will call you, Councillor Horrell, just before we get to that agenda item, if that's okay. Thank you. Item number 4, minutes of the previous meeting. Cabinet members,
Chair, I just advise that Patrick Davis wishes to speak on this item.
Oh, okay, Mr. Davis, would you like to come and make your representations? I was going to call you on the next.
Apologies.
No, that doesn't matter. No, do say it now if it's about the minutes.
Thank you, Chair. It's good to be in the real room. I'm not questioning the minutes at all. It's just I thought it's the most convenient spot upon which to raise an issue that flows out of what happened at the last meeting. And just where I was quoted, fine, it ends up by saying the council should take the opportunity to encourage the increased use of buses again. And I thought it would just be useful to, well, first of all, have a moan that since that meeting in March, you of course approved a multi-storey car park within the built-up area of Winchester, which I think is quite contrary to the policies you allegedly promote. But specifically on the question of bus use, with the still threat under the removal of a bus station, what exactly is now happening? Because I observed this very morning, there are still notices in the bus station which say on top of the timetables, please travel only if it is essential. Now, that surely cannot be right now, is it? Because people can use their cars everywhere. Surely we shouldn't be discouraging the use of buses. And there's at least 2 up in the bus station this morning, on top of timetables. Those must be removed. The council surely has an interest in ensuring that people are using the buses again. And I do not understand why that is happening. My observation is the buses are very little used still because people are being discouraged by the council's actions and sadly it appears by the bus company's actions. So can something be done about it?
Can you show us this?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think Mr. Davis, we could perhaps pick up his comments just in a moment because they're not exactly related to the minutes, and Mr. Davis can make a comment at any point about any matter that concerns business of the council in public participation. So you were quite correct, Leader, that he could have spoken next, but very happy to take the point around travel at the moment. As Cabinet and colleague members and Mr. Davis is aware, we're clearly at stage 3 of the national roadmap at the moment, but none of us can have avoided seeing the news where the government is carefully phrasing that we must be mindful of our own actions and our own decisions, even though while we're in a period of slightly increased relaxation due to variants of concern that we are experiencing across the country. And only last week, as I'm sure Councillor Todd is aware, there was some national guidance made that there were relaxations to the social distancing on buses, which has enabled us to increase the numbers on our park and ride over the past week. As part of the Health Protection Board across the county, we are working closely with Stagecoach and the other bus companies. I'm very happy to pick up the messaging that the bus companies have in the bus station at the moment on behalf of the council, if you wish, Leader.
Yes, certainly. I think we would wish those signs to be removed because, as Mr Davis said, everyone is allowed to drive around in their cars and basically go wherever they like at the moment. The other point I just wanted to pick up on was the Vortex site. That is actually a park and ride. So that is adding to our park and ride offer that we that we have. And obviously the idea is to encourage people to park further out of the town and use the bus or walk to come in.
It's still a multi-storey car park in the built-up area of the city.
It's further.
Yes, and therefore much better than a flat surface car park, which wastes a large amount of land and is worse for the environment generally in terms of its spatial impact inside the city.
But thank you for your contribution, and we will certainly look into the signs around the bus station. Thank you.
I also wanted to speak on, I was asked to indicate which items I wish to speak on. That's why I indicated the minutes.
Yes.
So I'd also got something to say on your subsequent paper, which I've given Nancy notice of.
Perhaps we can just deal with the minutes, Linda,
Yeah,
and then move
yeah.
on to public participation.
Okay. Members of Cabinet, minutes. We've all read them. Are we happy to agree?
Yeah.
Agree? Okay, thank you very much. So we now move into public participation. So Mr Davis, would you like to?
Yes, thank you, Chair. The issue I wanted to raise was on Cabinet Paper 3298, where you're dealing with appointments to panels and groups. And the issue, which is one I hope can be resolved, and that is the nature of public participation at these bodies. Now, until you decide to reappoint or not the various bodies, it's difficult to know precisely how it will be dealt with. But the last year has clearly been very odd, to put it mildly, with Zoom type meetings. But I want to be clear that the public are still to be involved in a meaningful way in the bodies that the public are concerned about, specifically the local plan advisory group. I recall over a year ago, at the first meeting of that, there was no public participation on the agenda. You chaired it because then Councillor Porter was not able to be there. And I had to argue, and it was agreed at the end that I could publicly participate. And since then, it's been on as an agenda item, but it wasn't that first one. Some of the other important groups, which may or may not be reappointed in their current form, I just wonder how this is going to be dealt with. The Central Winchester Regeneration Open Forum only met once in the last municipal year. I would have thought its nature needs to be reviewed. It must have serious, meaningful public participation. One of the problems with these online consultations, so-called, that the way the public are involved is very minimal, and they have no meaningful way of actually participating in the discussion in some of them. The one on Wednesday on the North Walls issue. It'd be interesting to see how that works, because of course the whole future of the existing building there is omitted from the whole exercise, which is a great concern to me. Station approach, no meetings were held in the last year. We all know the problems there, but what is happening and how are the public going to be involved in that exercise? That is the general point I wanted to make, that there is clarity on how public involvement is going to be taken forward, so that people can seriously be involved and realise that their views are of concern to the council and that their questions and concerns are actually answered properly at those meetings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr Davis. I don't know whether any Cabinet members want to comment on that. The Local Plan Advisory Group, as you know, I take your point about the first one, but going on, I believe it was an item on the agenda, and it certainly, public participation. In terms of Central Winchester, actually we had more engagement in the online consultation that we've ever had before in any consultation. And I know Councillor Lerner would like to say a few words on that. So yes, it's great to all be able to meet in public, and I agree that there are some residents out there who find using the internet challenging. I think we all do, and we've all had to learn how to use Teams and Zoom pretty quickly over the last year. On Station Approach, as you know, that project is on hold, and that is why we haven't had any meetings of the open forum. There's absolutely no point if we have no news to give out. There's nothing to discuss. Anyway, Councillor Lerner, you wanted to say something.
Thank you, Lisa. Yes, I mean, we have had higher levels of participation, and I think we've also had participation from a lot of people who find those kind of public in a room meetings quite intimidating in terms of being able to say something and participate. But I think I think Patrick Davis's point is well made in terms of the need for a constant review of how we do these things, to see how we can do them better in the future. So we take your comments on board.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Okay, right, so we now go on to item number 6. Okay, well, you can clearly see the cabinet by who's sitting around the room, but before I announce the membership, I'd just like to say a few words, as I did at full council last week, to thank those members who have served on the cabinet over the last 2 years and aren't joining us this time. Firstly, a very big thank you to Councillor Malcolm Prince, who has made a lasting contribution to cabinet over the past 2 years. Councillor Prince, as everybody knows, has lived and breathed the Leisure Centre project since 2019, and from the word go he was absolutely adamant that the centre would be ready and open in spring, and of course it is thanks to him and the project team that we are opening our brand new centre this week on time and within budget, and this really is a stunning achievement given the year that we've all experienced. Secondly, I'd like to thank Councillor Paula Ferguson for taking on the local economy with such great commitment and enthusiasm. Her work ensured that throughout the various lockdowns and reopenings of the last 12 months, our businesses across the district were well supported, received all the grant monies available in a quick and timely manner, and ensured that our high streets reopened in a safe and welcoming way. And lastly, my thanks goes to former councillor Jackie Porter, who decided to step down from the City Council this year. In particular, her work on the local plan has been exceptional and leaves us in a good place to complete the refresh. So in putting together the new cabinet, I was keen to respond to the new and important challenges that the pandemic has presented us with. For this reason, we will develop our response to the pandemic to ensure that our communities recover strongly and that we ensure continuing support for the vulnerable, and that we support the extensive network of voluntary groups that have been so valuable during the crisis. Just as important for our communities, we need to continue the excellent work that Paula has done with local businesses to continue to attract investment and create new jobs. Of course, critically, it also means that we must keep the environment at the heart of all we do. And I will say a little bit about our plans for this later. Of course, we want to ensure that in Winchester and the district as a whole, we build back better and stronger. And accordingly, I've taken the opportunity to restructure the responsibilities, bringing them in line with these priorities. What we all endured last year, 3 lockdowns and subsequent reopenings, a whopping hole in last year's budget to the tune of £10 million and a gap of £3 million to fill in this year's budget, it certainly was a roller coaster ride. And it is thanks to our officers and staff that we managed to get through it all and emerge today lean and stronger, and with the feeling that this is a new beginning. At some point in the future, we need to think about how we appropriately thank all those frontline workers and volunteers who have been so wonderful, as well as commemorate those who have sadly passed away during this time. But going forward, it is clear that we'll need to work even closer with our partners across the district to achieve our aims. That is why I shall be taking the lead in making sure we use all the opportunities presented to us to build on those relations and forge new ones where the opportunity arises. So my title is Leader and Cabinet Member for Partnership Working. I'm very happy to announce that Councillor Neil Cutler continues as Deputy Leader of the Council, and his portfolio becomes Cabinet Member for Finance and Service Quality. Councillor Lerney continues as Cabinet Member for Housing and Asset Management. Councillor Linda Murphy continues as Cabinet Member for the Climate Emergency. Councillor Martin Todd continues as Cabinet Member for Economic Recovery. And now to our two new Cabinet members. Councillor Russell Gordon-Smith joins Cabinet, taking responsibility for the built environment. And last but not least, Councillor Angela Clear joins Cabinet with the title Cabinet Member for Communities and Wellbeing. My thanks goes to all those two new members of Cabinet for stepping up and taking on their new responsibilities, and to obviously all members of Cabinet. I really look forward to working with you all in the forthcoming year. So thank you. We now come to item number 7, which is Leader and Cabinet Member announcements. And I have one announcement to make. And it follows on from what I said about putting the environment at the heart of what we do. As you will know, one of the first things we did when we became the administration back in 2019 was to declare a climate emergency. And we set ourselves some really challenging goals: to make the council carbon neutral by 2024 and the wider district by 2030. Our overarching theme was to put the environment at the heart of all we did, and I'm very pleased to report that we have come some way to achieving those aims. But we recognise that in the months ahead we will need help from other organisations outside our own council if we are to achieve our targets. We also recognise that this is a cross-cutting issue and that all departments in the council need to be working together and be aware of what each department is up to. So I'm really pleased to announce that we intend to set up an open forum on the climate emergency. We tend to think of major projects as being building projects, but of course they don't have to be, and tackling the climate emergency is one of the biggest projects we have. An open forum, which meets maybe 3 to 4 times a year and brings the right people to the table, will give this project a kickstart and serve as a useful driver for our carbon neutrality action plan. And I will be asking officers to come back to Cabinet with a set of terms of reference that we can agree, and we can then call for nominations from both groups on the council. Thank you very much. That's my announcement. I believe Councillor Todd has an announcement or two to make.
Yes, Leader, thank you very much. I have 2 announcements to make. One is, I know that some residents are concerned about the recent decision of the County Council to go ahead with the removal of bottle banks from all household waste recycling centres located in the district. That's Alresford, Winchester, Bishop's Waltham and Waterlooville. It's obviously disappointing when Hampshire have the worst recycling rate of any county council in the country. Just to reassure residents and colleagues that all of the City Council's bottle banks will remain in place and none will be removed. And because of the dramatic increase in the amount of glass being disposed of during COVID, we will continue to fund extra emptying from those bottle banks to help cope with the extra volume of glass coming through. My second announcement is that Winchester's car boot sale will be restarting at the cattle market from June 6th. Officers have carefully worked through a plan to ensure that it would be safe and socially distanced and operating in line with government guidance. This is a much enjoyed activity for many people, a welcome support for local charities, a useful way to help ensure items are reused rather than disposed of, and will also help bring extra people back to our centre.
Thank you very much, Councillor Todd. I don't believe there are any other, Councillor Clear.
Thank you, Leader. I haven't any really announcements to make, seeing as this is my first meeting, but may I just say thank you for having the confidence in me to sit on Cabinet, and I hope I do a good job, a reasonably good job, and I would love to meet as many members of the public and have them, you know, talk to them as well. So just to say thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Councillor Clear. Right, we now go on to the some of the main items on the agenda. Item number 8, annual appointments to Cabinet and informal groups, which is on pages 17 to 26 of the agenda pack. Okay, we have one addition to make to this, because we see that we failed to put in our nominations for the Station Approach Open Forum. So we would like to propose Councillor Todd, Councillor Westwood and Councillor Tippett-Cooper to be the Lib Dem nominations on the Station Approach Open Forum. And there are no other amendments to that part of the agenda. So can we agree that? Agreed. Thank you very much. Item number.
Sorry,
Oh, Councillor Horrell. Apologies. I haven't got you down for number 7. I don't. Number 8. Yes, sorry. Okay. Apologies.
To get back into the sphere.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Actually, you just addressed the question I was going to ask, which was the absence of Station Approach members from your group, and was that an indicator that you intended not to take any action on Station Approach this year, given it is a valuable piece of land that we own and provides a positive addition to our asset base? But you have just answered my question by nominating. I suppose my addition was, does that mean that the forum will be meeting? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Horrell. No plans for the forum to meet at the moment, but you know, we can't. A year is quite a long time, as you know, and anything can happen. So we believe that we should appoint to it, and it's there and ready and waiting should something appear. So that's the answer there. Item number 9. Again, Councillor Horrell, you've got your name down by this.
Thank you, Chair, and actually thank you to the officers who issued an updated document yesterday that laid out the appointments quite clearly on where there were standard cabinet appointments and those that were determined by term of office, etc. I just wanted to say, although it says no contest appointments on table 3, I think you and I have discussed in the past that although we have put forward nominations, particularly where there are more than one member invited to particular committees, you have chosen that we should not be selected for those. So we took that view. However, we would have liked to have contested those. And just for the record, I think, as I say, there is an opportunity on some of these where there are more than one representative for broader views to be available. Chair, I'm assuming that on the table 4, where there are contested nominations, where you have more than one nomination, you as a committee will decide accordingly. However, we put forward those names because we do believe they have very vested interests either on a ward basis or their experience and their knowledge, which we think they could bring to those respective organisations detailed in Table 4. And I hope the Cabinet will give due consideration to the other councillors who have put themselves forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Horrell. I take your point about table number 3, and of course, in some cases we have decided to go with the current representatives who, if you look at the Hamble Harbour Management Committee, Councillor Pearson with the Deputy Councillor Miller remains on that. So it's not quite true that we've taken all the positions and replace them with our people instead. In terms of table number 4, we would like to propose on the police and crime panel, we propose Councillors Power and the Deputy Councillor Clear. Are we, Cabinet, are we agreed?
Agreed.
The Southampton International Airport, we propose Councillor Todd as Cabinet Member, obviously, and Councillor Bronk, with Councillor Edwards and Councillor Cook as deputies. Agreed?
Agreed.
On the Winchester Road Safety Council, we propose Councillor Westwood.
Agreed.
And on the Winchester Sports Stadium Management Committee, we propose Councillors Clear and Laming. Agreed? Okay. Thank you very much. Obviously the two papers before that, three tables before that, 1, 2 and 3 were all, there were no contests. So it's as set out in the agenda. Agreed?
Agreed.
Thank you very much. We now go on to item number 10, which is the Q3 Financial and Finance and Performance Monitoring Report. This goes back some months now, and it is for noting from our point of view. But Councillor Horrell, you wish to speak on this item?
Thank you, Chair. And as you say, it is a few months ago, but nonetheless reminds us of some of the very important work that the council has before it, and now we're all back sitting around a table, some opportunities hopefully to move forward perhaps more rapidly on some of the items. The performance panel met and had a very detailed discussion, and our notes from that meeting, which went to scrutiny, are tabled on pages 15 through 19. And there are a lot of follow-up items here. The housing company, the status of that, importantly looking at leader funding, which obviously we've been managing historically, some opportunities to enhance the data as we go forward, updates on the movement strategy, and we had also updates on the flood alleviation programme. Thank you to the officers who provided us with information about the status of many of the works that we're undertaking. So, Chair, I would just ask that with elections interrupting the flow, and that we're now sort of back in the starting blocks, as it were, off to the races again, that we can pick up on some of these items that were due to be followed up, and items due to be issued to the panel, so that we can all get up to speed on what has been happening in the interim. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. As you say, yes, that there will obviously be updates as we move into this this next quarter. Any further comments to be made by Cabinet members, or are we just happy to note? Councillor Cutler.
Yeah, just want to note that the Q4 figures obviously will relate to the updated council plan, and the sequence. We have everything in sequence. I know we had problems with the sequencing and the performance panel and scrutiny, and I believe that will come to the July cabinet. So we'll have gone through. So we'll effectively catch up at the same time. Hopefully, the questions from the previous one will be able to be answered in that process.
Thank you. Councillor Todd.
Yes, Leader, just to confirm Councillor Cattle's point, this is a piece of work that I will be handing over to him with the change in responsibilities. But the work to follow up on all the points made is already underway. Most of the commitments related to having information in time for the next series of meetings. And my understanding is that is all on track and in line to happen, as was previously requested, and indeed I was following up on one of the issues only today to make sure that everything was happening to schedule. In terms of the paper overall, it's now, I mean, it refers to really quite a long time ago now, sort of 5.5 months. And I think in terms of detailed discussion, we will most certainly be better off waiting for the news cycle of data to come through and for us those discussions to start, which will be starting in the next week or so. So I suggest we say detailed discussion for that.
Okay, so Cabinet, are we happy to note this report?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Thank you very much. We now come to item number 11, which is to note the future items on the forward plan for Cabinet going forward. Happy to note that, Cabinet? Noted. Agreed. Thank you very much. Okay, well, before I just close the meeting, that must be one of the quickest Cabinet meetings we've held, and certainly in recent months. Just a very special announcement, of course, that the Leisure Centre opens to the public on Saturday. So I hope you're all booking your slots to go swimming or do whatever you like doing at a leisure centre. But it is opening to the public this Saturday, the 28th of May. Just thought I needed to announce that and make sure everybody is aware of that. So thank you very much, and thank you for your attendance this morning, and see you all again in a month's time. Thank you.